Hi, ever wondered what goes on behind the scenes of the health innovations we see? Or what health innovations are even out there in the first place? Well, welcome to African Digital Health Voices, your one-stop platform for all things digital health technology across Africa. From interviews with founders to pertinent conversations with stakeholders around tech-enabled healthcare, as well as updates on the latest in health tech, you are in for a good treat. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode.
Hi, and good afternoon. Welcome to Digital Health Voices. This is our premiere edition, and we are glad to have our very, very interesting guest today. Someone who I would say breaking barriers in different directions as it concerns healthcare and health tech as a whole. Permit me to welcome, I think I should let her just introduce herself, and that will be so you know who our first guest is. So please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. My name is Peace Ndoli Iraguha. I'm a co-founder of Lifesten Health, where we reward people for being healthy. And I'm also a COO at Lifesten. I think that's enough for now.
Okay, thank you very much. And welcome once again. So let's start. Like you said, this Digital Health Voices is about telling our stories, right? In our own voices, right? As digital health entrepreneurs across Africa as well. And you're the first person that's, trailblazing this whole initiative. So tell me about your background. How did you start this digital health journey? When did you first think that you would be doing this for some time to come?
Thank you for the question. And before I start, it's a pleasure to be here. And I wanted to thank you for creating this platform that brings the voice of entrepreneurs, especially in health, which is not easy. To give them a voice and let people understand their journey and what they're going through and what they're aspiring to see or create in the community. So thank you for that. And my background, my educational background, I did human nutrition in bachelor's. So I worked in health settings for a while. But then I didn't feel like I was doing the most or to the best of my capabilities. Especially because working in health setting, you realize that people come there when it's too late or almost too late. So I was mostly dealing with diseases like obesity, hypertension, diabetes, mostly chronic diseases who need nutritional interventions. And for these people, one similar denominator for all these cases is that if they had come in a little bit earlier than that, it wouldn't have gotten to that point. And in a way, I've always been attracted to technology and what it's capable of doing, and all the solutions I would see in the community that are tech-based and in health. They were developed by people who are not in healthcare. And I personally believe that brings a mismatch in terms of the solution you're bringing to the people if you haven't seen these problems firsthand or gone through them personally. I'm not saying they don't have the right skills to develop amazing solutions, but then I think it should be the first initiative should be from healthcare providers to leverage on the increasing advancement in tech, AI, mobile phones, internet, so as to bridge the health equity gap. And I think if we leave this to the innovators, the tech innovators, we're kind of putting, leaving behind our ethics as healthcare professionals, because you can't expect someone who wasn't even trained in patient's care to put their ethics first. So I felt compelled to join this tech world that I knew nothing about. So I did my first, with some of the colleagues from school, we designed this nutritional app that would help people know their status, tell their BMI, and get some few recommendations. But then it wasn't working, and there were some issues here and there, like for every other startup. And then with my continuous work in the hospital, I get more attached to non-communicable diseases and started my research, started participating in different organizations that do prevention for non-communicable diseases. Because I really believe the healthcare is just focused on curative and kind of leaves out the preventative side, which is the most important. So by participating more and more into these activities, I came up with the idea of something resembling the Lifesten we have at the moment, which was a one-stop center for all services that are related to non-communicable diseases. And for the listeners who don't know what NCDs are, these are diseases that you can transfer from one person to another. And examples include diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, cancer, and similar diseases. So I met my co-founder at the time when I was doing research on market research on the solution I was trying to design, and having lived with the diseases himself, was working on a similar project. So we're like, let's join hands and see what we can do. And yeah, that's how Lifesten came to life.
Wow, interesting. I mean, it's interesting that you mentioned the fact about, healthcare practitioners, kind of leading the initiative, because I mean, I just backtrack to when I decided to do technology. It was almost the same thing that, the guys in computer science did not seem to partner. The context, so there's the context around healthcare that seems to be missing when non-healthcare practitioners, do technology for healthcare. Pretty interesting. So let me ask this, right? Because I see, looking at your background, at least what you published on LinkedIn, right? At some point in time, there was Nutri Rwanda, right? So you want to tell us a little bit about that and how that has, influenced what eventually became Lifesten?
Okay, so and at Nutri Rwanda, what we're trying to do and what it's working on at the moment, it's an initiative of making people aware of their nutrition status. Nutrition is something that's usually left out in healthcare. It's a science on its own, and when you get to understand it more, you see the role it plays in healthcare and how important it is in dealing with different diseases, preventing them, or management of these diseases. And this is something, especially in our communities, with the rise in sedentary living and people indulging more and more into risky healthy behaviors like more drinking, physical inactivity, smoking, and poor diet. People don't tend to give so much focus on their nutrition. And this is something that leads to a lot of more and more of these non-communicable diseases. And our mission was to do the basics, but also the most important, which is making people aware of their status, of the things they should be doing, maybe to maintain it or change their behaviors. And our plan, or how we're planning to do this, is a platform that you put in your, so the basics is body mass index. So you're able to put your height and weight, and also get your BMI and also results on what that means. Like if I'm in this category, what does it mean? What should I be doing? And also use it as a vessel for a lot of nutrition-related articles, so that people become more understanding of what's happening. Also, hoping that this information kind of informs their daily decisions in terms of. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I just said fantastic.
Yeah, in terms of their lifestyle and the choices they make in their everyday life. Because people are making these decisions when they don't have the necessary information to make those type of decisions. So that's what we're doing. But then at some point, I realized that it's one-sided and it won't solve the problem I see in the community, because it's just one thing. And that's one of the biggest challenge in healthcare. It's working in silos where every department feels the ownership of the problem, and then they go in the corner and then try to figure out a solution for that. And that doesn't work. And I believe it's high time we learn from other sectors and how they do things, and start collaborating, joining efforts, and not put the lives of our patients at risk. And how we do this, and this is the concept that drives Lifesten at the moment, is finding the pillars that contribute to people's lifestyle or people's risks of getting some NCDs in this case, and then touching on those different pillars so that we don't focus on one thing and leave out the other. If you focus on someone's nutrition and leave out their physical health or leave out their mental health, it will really, really cut down on the type of progress or impact you're trying to create. So our vision was now to make it a one-stop center where people don't have to go to this clinic, but then also find a coach, but also then go to this other clinic, but then bring all these solutions in one place, and so that people don't feel discouraged or like it's a lot of work for them to seek care or to be informed. Yeah.
Cool. So thank you very much, right? So I think one of the takeaways for me is that, what we eat eventually becomes our health. And then secondly, the fact that, it's necessary for us to be able to integrate things both from the, patient side as well as from the provider's side as well. So let me ask this question, right? So if you and your co-founder, you found in the course of, trying to do research, how has that dynamics been for both of you, launching Lifesten?
I would say, most co-founders, they meet when they have different vision for the solution they want to create, or different perspectives on the problem they want to address. And on our end, the team dynamic has been very amazing, especially because from the second we met, we were on the same page when it came to the problem we're solving. So every time there is any type of maybe misunderstanding, or when we hit a wall, it's easy to go back and look at why we started. because I was working with this thing by myself. He was working on this similar thing in Kenya, not even in Rwanda, in Kenya. And we're just in two different countries doing our own thing. And the fact that you're able to meet someone that really understands the problem you're trying to address to the dots the same way you do, then everything else flows. And I think this has allowed us for things to move really fast, because I don't have to take time and then make him understand why we're doing something. The second I bring up an idea, he gets that. And the second he brings up something, it makes sense. It makes sense because it's coming from the same place, from the same understanding. So, which I believe is very crucial when joining efforts. It's not about the solution, but it's about the problem and how invested you are in the problem you're trying to solve, and if you understand it in a similar way.
Very, very interesting. Like, I think I might just need to dig this a little bit further, right? Can you tell me how you guys met? Like, I mean, this is the first time I'm actually like two co-founders from Africa, different countries, same problem, coming together to make something more awesome than, if you are person had gone their own route. So please tell us, how did you two meet them? Can you remember exactly where you met, when, and what the context was there?
Okay, yeah. So I talked enough about my side of story and how I ended up getting invested in non-communicable diseases. So on his end, he was born with childhood obesity and struggled most of his life trying to get it in control, and with a lot of help from family members and healthcare professionals, he was able to at least live a normal life. But then he realized from his end that not everyone got that chance to the information he got, to access to the same healthcare services he got. And if he hasn't gotten that, the story would be totally different. So he started working, he created a non-profit organization back in Kenya that does mostly screening for non-communicable diseases, but also touches on awareness. But then with continuous efforts into screening, making people aware of their status, he realized that he's moving way ahead. Even before screening, people don't even have an idea what NCDs are or if they're important in the first place. So he wanted to do something now about information, availing information, making people aware and understand the decisions they make and what it means to their health. So he was doing research. On my end, my initial idea was to create a physical space, more like a clinic, but then that has all departments necessary for NCDs, so that when someone comes in, you don't have to go to this clinic to get screening, but also go to this other nutritional cabinet, but also find a gym by yourself, and also find this other supplement store, so that someone gets all these services in one place. Because if you look at research, having this fragmented care really affects the quality of care we give to our patients, but also slows down the fight against NCDs in a very huge way. So that's what I wanted to do on my end, a physical space. But then on his end, Stephen was trying to create a mobile clinic, something that can move from this place today, go to another one. It does screening. People get to learn about the diseases. So there is the teaching part and the screening part. So I joined the program called Jasiri by Alan and Gil Gray Philanthropy. And he also joined from Kenya. So we've never met. And while I joined, so it was during COVID, we're supposed to meet in person, but it wasn't possible. So everyone was working on their thing in their own homes. And one of the presentations, in one of the sessions we're supposed to present about our research findings, the problem, the solution you're trying to create, your target market, and all that. So he presented before I did. I think there was one person in between his presentation and mine. So while he was presenting, the whole time there were very few people in healthcare in the cohorts at the time. I think we're the only group in healthcare. So then first I had it in the healthcare sector, so that caught my interest. And then when he started talking about the problem and the market, I was like, why is this guy using my presentation? Everything was similar to my work. And when he came to the solution, I was like, it's just someone working on a similar thing. But I was so invested. So I went in the chat. So it's like, hey, I think we should talk. So he got to my presentation and he was also kind of confused because we were working on a similar thing and we didn't even know each other. And everyone was saying it in the chat. Stephen and Peace, your thing is kind of similar. So we organized a call after that. Now we talked about our work, what we're trying to do in details. And the rest is history. From then we're like, there is no need to do this separately because what we're doing is similar. Let's launch it in Rwanda, see how it goes, and then move to Kenya.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that background. Very, very interesting way to meet. So tell me, what has been the biggest challenge since you guys started running, Lifesten together?
So the biggest challenge, I think it's similar to many other health tech companies, is the strict regulations. So really? In a way you're in healthcare, but you're also under the Ministry of Innovation and Technology since you're using tech. So when you go to tech, they want to see the approvals from the Ministry of Health, let's say. And when you go to the Ministry of Health, they want to see that your thing is backed up by the Ministry of Innovation. So through that back and forth, you kind of lost of where you actually belong, which then prolongs the process of getting the right approvals. Because I would say on our end, it was really hard, and basically because it was hard for the people in healthcare to understand what we're doing, and most of the times we'll get feedback that says, why can't you guys just set up a clinic? And you're trying to convince that person that with technology would actually be able to reach to more people and do something differently. Because yes, we have clinics, but people are still not aware. So we need a different tool. And it takes time when, I think personally, I believe the biggest reason for this is that it's a new market, it's a new space in Rwanda, health tech, and people first need to understand for them to now even draft. I know a company where they had to draft the regulations when they went to register because there has never been business like that. So that's one of them. And the second one I would say is talent acquisition.
Really?
Because as healthcare, as we mentioned when we started, it's not just about the technology. It's someone who understands patients and what they go through and comes in with that perspective of healthcare delivery. And if it's not that, then what you're creating, rather than being a solution, might be an additional burden or adds on to the confusion of the people you're trying to serve or bring this solution to. And the people who are in technology, but also understand health on some level, yes, I understand we can guide them, but then it's usually better when someone really understands the sector they're creating the solution for. And these people are very few. And then as a result, they're very expensive. And this is a startup with limited resources. We're trying to make it to end meet. And that was a very big challenge.
So let me ask you, how are you solving that talent acquisition problem? Have you solved it or are you solving it?
So at the moment, what we've done is finding people who are not necessarily experts, but then working closely with them over time and finding someone. So we get like junior software developers, and then we find an expert to lead the team now. And then after that time, you see you see the skills improving, and when you work closely, I think the vision of the project kind of rubs off on them. Yeah, and then it gets easier. Now I think the team really understands why and why we're designing what we're working on.
So tell me, what has been your greatest accomplishment, your joy, since you started Lifesten?
So the first one was when we launched our MVP, the first version of the app. It wasn't the greatest work, but then that was the biggest milestone because we're able to bring something to the market and get feedback. So that will always be my first. Okay. And then I'll say the second one was recent. It's a project with the Novartis Foundation, the Health Tech Hub Africa, in partnership with the government, to do a mass hypertension screening of more than 300,000 people in Kigali.
Wow!
Yeah, that's a great milestone for Lifesten. And I think it will get more people to understand what we do, and it won't just be about screening like other interventions we've had in the past. But then you'll be able to do the screening, but also you'll get an app that kind of accompanies you on this journey that will depend on the screening. So I know my status now, but then what now? So now we bring the what now after the screening.
Okay. So one of the things for most startups has been funding, and you're pursuing investors, you're trying to raise money. How's that journey been for you?
So I'll say it wasn't easy, and at some point, so when we started, we're like really, really, really need money. So that was our focus. Or let's apply to this. I think every startup has this phase where you're applying to every single thing. You see, climate change, you apply. You see fintech, you apply even though you're in health tech. And every single opportunity, we apply. And at some point we sat down and we were like, this is just a distraction. Because we'll go months and you go back home and then I look back, what did I do today? And it has nothing to do with Lifesten. It's
applications.
Yeah, it's applications here and there. So we decided to stop it completely.
Wow.
Like, let's work on Lifesten because that's what we wanted to do. Let's use the resources we have. When they run out, we'll figure it out at that point. But then let's use what we have to design the best solution that we can. So we really stopped with the applications. And it was more, now again, it was more fulfilling because now we're working on Lifesten again. So we worked on Lifesten, but then we're like, if something shows up and it resonates to our work, then we can entertain it. But that wasn't our focus for many, many months. So yeah, so we really stopped, and it wasn't making sense for a lot of people because you get these friends, mentors, they send these opportunities and then they're checking in. Did you apply? Did you apply? You're like, no, I didn't. And people kind of get disappointed. Like, you really need the money. Like, I know more than anyone else I need this money. But if the money comes in at the wrong timing, and if the money comes in and they don't even have a solution to invest that resources in, then I'm not doing anything and it won't even be productive. So we really stopped until we got this opportunity I just mentioned. That it was really, we didn't have to make any alterations, to make any changes to the solutions. What they wanted is what we've built. So we're like, this one, we're applying for it. And we put in everything we had, and to our luck, we're able to get it.
Wow, very, very insightful. I think that's something that we should, every startup, founder, entrepreneur should really sit down and think about, the focusing on, that focus on the product and not on the applications. And I can see that maybe I'm taking that lesson myself personally, as well. As we begin to round up, right, let me ask this question, right? What do you know today that if you meet someone that's starting out tomorrow, you will want to say, don't do this that I did. I know better now, and this is what I think you should do. What would be your advice?
It's a lot because life, you learn every day. You go back home and you think now you're a genius in running a business. And then the next day you feel like a fool again. And yeah, so the first thing I would say is you don't need to know everything for you to start. And I tried starting Lifesten a couple of times before this time. And every time I got this discouragement from friends, family, even myself, that, you know nothing about healthcare. About tech, about technology. So how are you designing a solution in tech? And that's not true. That's not true at all. And that's something people need to learn. If you really, really want to do something in a sector, what it takes is the passion to create that solution and figure out the people who understands that sector better than you do. And those people are there. And the good thing is that they've been looking for you. So coming in entrepreneurship in general with the mindset that you want to, you need to know everything and you have to do everything by yourself, then you're setting up yourself for failure very short term. But then acknowledging that these are my strengths, I can actually do this, I'm good at this. And then leveraging on other people's skills and experiences that will take you way ahead and in a very short time. And I think that's what Lifesten to where it is at the moment. So that's one. The second thing will be the people you work with. As I mentioned, if me and my co-founder, if we weren't on the same page, then things would have been really hard. Like I see it all the time with other teams that we started together. It's not about that this person is a genius. Yes, they might be a genius in that specific sector, but then they're not your genius. And for me, I treat it as another type of marriage, because this is for life. And if it's not for life, if it doesn't feel like it's for life, then don't even start. There is no point in starting. So if it's for life, it's not selecting a person you do this for life thing with shouldn't be taken lightly. It should be something you actually think about. You look at their background and what drives them to the core to do this thing. Because that's what keeps someone moving when things are very hard. And trust me, things will be hard. So that's another thing you really, I believe, as entrepreneurs, as people in health tech, we really need to look at. Because I've seen a lot of people in healthcare, they go get the best person in software development, but then someone is just there maybe for the money, and healthcare takes time to generate revenue. 2 months in, they can't keep up with all the work, and there is no instant traction that you're seeing.
True.
So that's the second thing. And the third thing is, so the first one was you don't have to do everything by yourself. The second one is who you choose to do this with, if you do choose to do this with someone. And the third one is you yourself and why you're doing this. And I know everyone talks about this passion, and it has become such a cliche everywhere. But if you have doubts, any type of doubts about what you're doing, it will show in all the work you do. There will be doubts written all over it because you will be invested 100%. If I'm an investor, they say investors invest in people more than they invest in solutions. So I can see the doubt when you're pitching to me. If I can see that, I won't invest in what you're creating. But if I see the passion, if I see the excitement you have and how invested you are, then I'm more likely to also be invested in what you're creating. So first thing that resonates with you, with your core values, with your personality, and overall the kind of person that you are before you just rush in and then you stop somewhere in the middle and you're like, this won't do it for me. So this is something I believe everyone should access way ahead before they start.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So final question, I hope. Where do you see Lifesten in the next 5 years, 3 years?
So the future for Lifesten, first, I see, so we're impact oriented. So what I see is a more informed community we started with Rwanda, so a more informed Rwandan community. But then our biggest aspiration is to not just focus on Rwanda, but then take this outside of Rwanda. So in 3-5 years, when I look at Lifesten, I see penetrating other markets in the area and getting to more and more African countries, so as to serve more and more people, because obviously they need this. And yeah, that's where we aspire to be in the next couple of years.
Okay, I'm sure you can bet that African digital health voices will be tracking with you and just checking in, see how that progresses, and we definitely will be lending our voices to get more people to know about what Lifesten is doing and the impact they can have. So let me leave you with this to say, where can they find Lifesten, and how can they engage with you? Perhaps someone wants to.
Okay, so Lifesten is very easy to find. For if you want to meet us in person, you can come at NOSCAN anytime. There is always someone from the team. And despite that, we are on all socials, and on Twitter it's Lifesten Health, LinkedIn Lifesten Health, and our website is www.lifesten.health. And you can also reach us through our Gmail, lifesten.health@gmail.com. And yeah, we're everywhere.
Okay. The mobile app is on Google Store.
Yes, the Lifesten mobile application, you can download it on Play Store, and it will be on Apple Store in a couple of days.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's been so much of a pleasure, listening to your journey from the beginning, where you guys are now, and then what the future aspiration, is. I hope that when we come upon you, say maybe 1 year, 6 months from now, you'll be available to join us again to tell us the story from your own perspective again.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for having me. This was a great conversation. And yeah, you guys are doing great things for this industry, and it was great for me to be one of your invitees.
Thank you very much. All right, everyone, bye for now. Until next week or so, when we come back with another African entrepreneur doing fantastic things within healthcare. Bye for now. Thank you.